be whole. As I pointed out from time to time, I find it very interesting. In the King James Version of Scripture, that the word that is quite often interpreted as saved is really whole. Think about that for a moment. We interpret it as saved, but the word is really whole. And when Jesus was healing people, he only asked them one question: will you be whole? The question was never asked, how did you get here? How many times have you been here? What in your consciousness got you to be here? It didn't ask all that. Just a fundamental question: will you be whole? That really is the only question that we ever have to answer. Will we be whole? See, the wholeness is something that we already are. The question is, will we be what we already are? Listen to what I'm saying. The question is not, how do we get from here to there? How do we become something else? The question only is, are you willing to let go of all the false ideas? Are you willing to let go of all the patterns, anything and everything that stands in the way of you being what you already are? It's this interesting thing. I love the way that it's put in the Tao Te Ching by Lao Tzu. He says, every day in the pursuit of knowledge, something is added. But every day in the practice of the Tao, something is dropped. Spirituality is the process of unlearning. We keep thinking that it's about learning more and grasping more and putting more inside our heads. But the practice really isn't putting more inside, it's emptying out what doesn't belong. It's clearing out the storage bins of our heart. It's going back to the recalibration, back to our original frequency. See, the wholeness is our true nature. It's what we already are. We're busy searching for what we already are. We are like the fish in the ocean looking for the sea. Or the way that my mentor always puts it, what we're looking for, we're looking with. What we're looking for, we are looking with. We already are the love. We are the power. We are the peace. It's who we are. And we'll never be able to experience it until we identify with it. There is this existential dilemma that we have as human beings when we don't know that we are whole with a W-H-O-L-E. We feel like there's a whole, an H-O-L-E. We're feeling one or the other. When you don't know that you are whole with the W, you think there's a whole just with the H. And that existential dilemma is that part of us that feels just whole, like H-O-L-E, like there is something missing. And when we believe that there is something missing, we are going around trying to fill it up. What's that W that we're looking for? What's that W that we can put in front of the H-O-L-E that's going to make us feel like we are complete? It's either willingness or willfulness. It's willingness or it's willfulness. It's either worry or worship. There's either worry or wonder. When we're just in the H-O-L-E, we're living in fear. We're living in separation. We think that there's something missing. And we start turning to people, places, and things to try to fill that up. People, places, and things. And it never works. And when we do get what we think is going to fill that up, it is short-lived. Or we spend most of our time being afraid that we're going to lose it. Because if you don't know it's who you are, you can't keep it. Isn't that extraordinary? That our inner being has so much integrity, it will not allow us to keep anything we don't believe we deserve to have. Isn't that an extraordinary amount of integrity? That our inner being will not allow us to keep anything that we don't believe is really us. There's an inner healing that has to take place. We live in a society that has us in an hypnotic trance, believing that just the acquisition of more is going to do the trick. The acquisition of more never makes you whole, with a W. Quite the contrary. What will make you whole is when you drop some of that stuff. Wholeness is not getting more. Wholeness is about letting go of the stuff that doesn't belong. It reminds me of this saying that's attributed to Michelangelo about how was he able to carve such exquisite things. And if any of you have ever had a chance to go to Italy, it really is extraordinary. Yes, these stone figures look like they are alive. A picture just does not do them justice by any stretch of the imagination. Then how did you do this? And he said, I see it inside already, and I just take away the parts that don't belong. I see it inside already. It's already whole. That's how it is with life. But most of us think of it the other way around. It's as though our very lives is this big chunk of clay or stone. And we have to whittle, and we have to chisel, and we have to carve, and we have to shape, and we have to figure out how it's going to be. Like we're starting with nothing, trying to make it something. Say, it's already something. It's just encased. It's already something. But it's just locked up in societal paradigms. It's locked up in constructs and theories. It's locked up in ideologies and identities. It's entrapped in all that kind of stone that we have to just release and let go of. Breathe that for a moment. Will you be whole? Will you be whole? One of the things that we have to drop, there are a number of them, but one of the things that we have to drop is this notion that we have in our Western society that we live in a binary world of polar opposites. Mutually exclusive polar opposites. Good and evil. Darkness, light. Male, female. Rich, poor. Sickness, health. Like they are these mutually exclusive opposites. It is not true. It is not true. It just isn't true. Everything exists along a continuum. It's a continuum. There are polarities of expression, yes, but they are not mutually exclusive or opposite. Breathe that in for a moment. They are not mutually exclusive or opposite. Darkness and light are not mutually exclusive. There's only light. And how much light there is expressing. You cannot create darkness. You can't make darkness. You cannot harness. You can't do a doggone thing with darkness. You can't. The only way to make it dark is to extract the light. The only way to get rid of the dark is to introduce the light. Love and hate are not mutually exclusive opposites. There's only love. And how much love is expressing. You can't make hate. You can't create hate. You can't get rid of hate. There's only love. That's all. And how much love is expressing. So when you see hate, it's just because love has been withdrawn. And there's only one way to get rid of hate, is to introduce love. It ain't all that deep. Health and illness are not mutually exclusive opposites. There is only health. And it's just a question of how much health is expressing. You can't create health, you can't create illness. Just the expression of health goes down, you can't get rid of illness. You can only introduce more health. Listen to what I'm saying. We have all this stuff around here about health care, like we can get rid of illness or get rid of disease. We don't get rid of illness or disease. We stimulate the health. We stimulate the health. Even something as seemingly invasive as a heart transplant is based upon this same premise. There's always something in the body that works. And we're trying to work with what works. So even if we do a heart transplant, the doctors are banking on the fact that your body is going to embrace and love this other person's heart as though it were its own and literally not skip a beat. Why? Because there's something within you that's still working. Breathe this in for a moment. So we're in this ideological conundrum then about what is it going to take to stimulate the health. There are those who would believe that you war on whatever that is that's out of order. Let's do a war on the illness. We're going to do a war on the darkness. We're going to do a war on whatever that is, and the way to get to the other side is we're going to get rid of everything that's not working. But that's not how it works. That's not how it works. You have to start with the isness about what's right. Underneath it all, whether you're talking about Western med, whether you're talking about Eastern med, the only really difference underneath it all is the perception of what is the ultimate reality and what is it going to take to stimulate how to get there. When people do drugs to get high, they're trying to artificially stimulate what the body can do anyway. But when you don't know that you can kick off your own little endorphins by being happy in some constructive ways, you think you got to do drugs to get there. Yes? Because we don't know. We have to get rid of this binary either or, because that's not it. Everything is along this continuum, and our challenge in life is not either or, but balance. Wholeness is about balance. Wholeness is about being able to hold what appear to be the so-called opposites in such a way that there's balance. Wholeness isn't about getting rid of anything. Wholeness is about putting everything in its proper perspective. Breathe that in for a moment. Wholeness is about putting everything in its proper perspective. You need all of you. You need all of you. And I don't care what it is. It could be something like water. Water has both its masculine and feminine ways of expressing in the world. This has got nothing to do with males or females biologically. We misunderstand this. But everything that expresses in both a masculine and feminine way of being in the world. You can have the gentle rain or the dew, or you can have the storm that burns, that just washes everything away. You can have the fire that's the cozy hearth, or you have the fire that burns everything down. It's the same fire, it's the same water. It's not that water is good or bad, it's different ways of showing up in the world. Are you with me? Okay. Because we do not honor this, because we do not honor the wholeness of it all, because we are busy valuing one side more than the other, we're lopsided. We're lopsided. In every level, from our own individual selves on up through politics and economics, we're lopsided because we are not holding ourselves in a sacred balance. We have gotten way too much into the masculine. Way over the top. Over the top. In such a way that we do not value the feminine. Where it is denigrated in the way that we treat physical women and children, the way we rape the earth, the same kind of misogynistic values that we put on it, the way that creativity or anything that seems like it's soft doesn't get the same value in the workplace. I mean, I could go on and on and on. This is an imbalance. This is an imbalance. And I'm not saying we have to attack or we have to do anything against the masculine. We have to introduce the feminine. We have to bring in the love. We have to bring in the compassion, the joy, the peace, the grace, the wholeness, the creativity, or we are out of balance. Our wholeness is going to require that we live in more balance. There's a book that I highly, highly recommend. It's called Moral Politics. Moral Politics. How Liberals and Conservatives Think. It's by George Lakoff, whom I have a tremendous amount of respect for as a social scientist and a political analyst. Moral Politics. How Liberals and Conservatives Think. And I highly recommend this book, particularly where we are right now in our political sphere. And it will help you make a heck of a lot of sense out of the things that are showing up now in our conventions. We just finished the Republican National Convention. Tomorrow we start the Democratic National Convention in our 2016 presidential electoral race here in the United States. And I love that book because it really explains, and I'm not going to go off into it a lot, but it really explains this thing that I'm talking about of where we're not in balance. If we're going to move forward in wholeness, there has to be room enough for all of us. Listen to what I am saying. Pure physics, aerodynamics. The left wing ain't going nowhere without the right. The right wing cannot fly without the left. Breathe that in. The left wing cannot fly without the right wing. The right wing cannot fly without the left wing. Every place that we look in nature, look at your own body temple, there is symmetry. Symmetry. Same wing structure, but curved in another direction. Curved in the other direction. It's purposeful. It's no mistake. It's purposeful. It's just when we get out of balance and think that one side is better than the other side. That's when we get off. When we value one more than the other. Within your own life, we need discipline. Yes? We need order, and we need structure. We also need creativity. We need spontaneity. And we need a certain amount of unrestricted freedom, yes? We need them both. It's a question of the balance. Because if you err on one side too much to the detriment of the other, then your life will not experience a wholeness. If we're busy being creative all the time and compassionate with no grounding, then our most basic needs are not being met, and there's a sense of desperation that we have in life. But if everything is law and order, and about structure and control and knowing and having everything in place so that there are no risks anywhere, then you have a very unfulfilled life. Now just take everything that I'm saying and then supersize it. When it comes to the political arenas or the economic arenas, there aren't different sets of laws for the government or politics or your life. There's not a different gravity for a tennis ball or a rocket ship. It's all the same stuff. There aren't different laws for healing an economy than there are for healing a body temple. Healing's just healing. Wholeness is just wholeness. There's a certain way that it works. Will you be whole? Will we be whole? Is there room enough in your heart for everybody? If we're fearing people in fear, that's just more fear. If we're separating from people separating, that's just more separation. This is challenging times right now. This is no joke. This is no joke. I'm 60. This has probably been the least funny in terms of no joke. Really? Really? We have to get back to the wholeness. Breathe that in. We have to get back to the wholeness. We have to get back to the wholeness. Not just talking about what you don't want, but bringing a vision of what we do want. Not just talking about how much we don't want to be sick, but where is the vision of the health? Where is the vision of the health? We're not going to get anywhere trying to just get rid of stuff. We have to be something. We have to be it. What about your own life? Can you bring all of you with you? Listen, can you bring all of you with you? Can you stop trying to chop off the bits and pieces of yourself that you are ashamed of? Or that you don't like? Or that you feel haven't quite measured up? Because whatever it is that you're trying to lop off in yourself, you project onto other people and society. So rather than deal with our own stuff, we're living in denial. I watched a movie last night on Netflix called Spotlight. And Spotlight is the story of the Boston Globe's inquiry into the child molestation cases of the Roman Catholic Church. And this is not a commentary that I'm going to make now about the Catholic Church. It is a commentary about wholeness. It is about wholeness. Human beings are whole. And you can go through any culture, any time. There's certain things human beings do. We laugh. We cry. We eat. We love. We dance. We make music and tools and art. We create families and keep the species going somehow or another. I mean, they're really basic things. We have our forms of spirituality that may look a little bit different depending upon where you are, but it's kind of basic, yes? Sexuality is a basic part of the human experience. Sexuality is a basic part of the human experience. Now, there's nothing wrong with celibacy. Somebody can choose celibacy if you really choose celibacy. But whenever you lop off huge parts of what are natural human expression, you're going to run into problems. So I grew up very Pentecostal. It was like that. Sexuality was lopped off, as was sensuality, as was a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's no mistake that when you see the big scandals out there of the politicians or the big scandals of the religious leaders, they're the very ones who are out there slinging the mud and everybody else in their self-righteousness, yes? Because when you lop off parts of yourself, it creates a shadow. It puts you in denial, and it creates a shadow. And what you cannot see in yourself, you project onto everybody else. And rather than heal your own life, you're busy trying to fix everybody else and hold them accountable for what you're not accountable for in your own life. Jesus spoke of this in the Sermon on the Mount when he says, "Why are you worried about the splinter in your brother's eye when there's a beam in your own? Why are you doing that? Why are you coming here to church with all of your alms and all of your offerings and all of your gifts, trying to buy your way into holiness, when your heart is so full of anger? You need to go home, take care of business, reconcile first. Clean your heart first. Then come here. Don't try to make this a substitute for the work that you're not doing in your own heart. Are you with me? We have work to do as individuals, and we have work to do as a society. But it's all about the balance. So the people that you would want to cut out of your life, personally, politically, really ask yourself, what is the gift they bring? What is the gift they bring? Because underneath it all, we're all pieces of the puzzle. What is that gift? And can I create a world such that the gift that they have uniquely to give, they could give it in joy and fulfillment? Listen to what I'm saying. When people don't feel like they can give their gift in joy and fulfillment, then they get into fear and they want to push it off on everybody else because they don't think there's enough room for them. Ooh, it got real quiet. See? The issue here is not going to be who won. W-O-N. But we are one. Not we won, W-O-N, but we are one. O-N-E. Because it doesn't matter who, quote unquote, wins the election, all this stuff is still here. It's still here, baby. Don't make this about individual personalities or candidates or about politics. This is about consciousness. This is about us as a society. This is about us as a people. This is about us getting back to a state of wholeness. So don't get mad at people for not embracing you that you're not embracing. Don't get mad at people demonizing that you are demonizing. If you want what you say that you want, you got to live like you want it. Can your life prove it? Can we demonstrate the inclusion that we say we want to have? I'm being reminded of two things now that I'll end with. One was a debate that I was having during the Prop 8 debates. I was against Prop 8. Surprise, surprise. That was our marriage equality bill here in the state of California. And I really do believe in public discourse. I do. I believe that if you bring good minds together and really talk it out, you'll find the common ground. You'll find the places that you can work together. In fact, I encourage you to look at something on YouTube I never thought I'd see the day. When Newt Gingrich and Van Jones are standing together in this organization called Cut 50, which is about reducing the prison population. And to hear Newt Gingrich talk about white privilege. Whoa. It is something to behold. It's only like a few weeks old. But this recognition that regardless of everything that's going on, we're out of control on this police brutality stuff. It's out of control. And this coming together of these two people who never agree on anything, but finding this place of alignment. Are you with me? Okay. If you just work at it long enough. So during the Prop 8 debates, I remember I was debating this one guy and I said, you know what? We both think that the other is wrong. But here's the difference between the two of us. I will forever fight for your right to say I'm wrong. And you just want to silence me. That's the difference. I will forever fight for your right to say I'm wrong. You just want to silence me. That's the place of inclusion that I'm talking about. And I'll end with this one. Some of you were in the room then. This was a number of years ago. This was when George W. was president. And I was taking a shower. It was right before I came to church. And I was so frustrated. And with this politics and everything that was going on. And my spirit voice said to me in the shower, you are mad at him for not being everybody's president, but you won't claim him as yours. And Spirit was pointing out to me how I never once would refer to him as President Bush or the president or, because I was pissed. I thought he stole that election and blah, 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 blah. And I thought, okay, wow, whew, okay. Claim him as my president. And I thought about it. I said, yeah, I'm mad at him for not being everybody's president, but I refuse to accept him as mine. And then Spirit always shows me how whatever it is that I'm doing is also being done to me. And it said, and how many people will refuse to call you Reverend? How many people would refuse to call you Reverend in the same way you refuse to acknowledge him as the president? They don't think you have any right to be on your pulpit any more than you think he has the right to be in the Oval Office, comma, my reverend daughter, period. So I came in. Some of you, were any of you here that day? Okay, I got a few of you who were here. So you know what happened? I stood here. I took a deep breath. And I said, George W. Bush is president of the United States, and he is my president as an American citizen. And you know what? It broke something. I started standing in more power. And not being in such resistance and everything else, I felt less marginalized. There was something that happened here. Are you with me? It was a matter of respect. And of basic respect. And if I want respect, I got to give respect. I'm talking about wholeness here. I'm talking about wholeness. Will we be whole? Okay, I didn't tell the truth. There's one more thing I'm going to say. The other thing that Jesus would tell people, besides the fact that I didn't heal you, It's your own faith that's made you whole. This saved. You're not being saved from some wrathful God out there. You're being saved from your own lack of wholeness. You're being saved from the separation. But he would say to people, go and sin no more. Now, we think of sin as transgressions. We think of sin as behavior. But sin, linguistically speaking, means missing the mark. It's a relational thing. It's not about activity. It's like an archer that misses his mark on the target. Stop missing your sense of your relationship to the divine. Know who you are. He would say, lest this or something worse come back. Listen to what I'm saying. Even Jesus could not heal you for all times if you kept going back to spiritual amnesia. Then whatever you had created before was just going to be recreated again. So as we go into this wholeness, as we accept this, as we believe this, as we say definitively, yes, we will be whole, then we have to stop missing the mark. We got to stop missing the mark. Embrace all of ourselves. The left wing and the right wing, so baby, we can soar. So we can mount up as if on the wings of an eagle.